National Federation of the Blind. Live the life you want.
So thank you everyone for joining this interactive Zoom lesson. I'm Karen Anderson. I'm the Education Programs Coordinator for the National Federation of the Blind. And we are really excited that you're all here this morning. With me, I have Kaylee Joyner, who works for the National Federation of the Blind of Texas and is a teacher. And she is going to teach us how to make what I think is one of the most fun Braille games, and a great way to encourage students to practice Braille and to get a little bit competitive. So Kaylee, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Karen. So like Karen said, my name is Kaylee Joyner, and I'm the Assistant Program Coordinator for the National Federation of the Blind of Texas. And I've been helping in various capacities with our Texas Bell Academies since we began in about 2009 or 2010, somewhere around there. So Bang is a super simple and easily differentiated game to do with your kids. You'll just need a few materials, some index cards, or construction paper or cardstock, anything that you have on hand that you can put some Braille on. You'll need a pair of scissors, and then either a Perkins Brailler, a slate and stylus, or some sticky backed Braille paper, however you want to create the Braille to put on the cards. So to play Bang, you will have a certain number of cards depending on the age level of the kids that you're working with. It's super flexible in that way. And this game is played with more than one person. It's a group game. So each person will take turns picking a card from the pile. And then if they can identify the information that's on that card correctly, then they get to keep that card in their own separate pile. If they aren't able to identify what's on the card, then that card will go at the bottom of the main stack of cards. Players will keep drawing cards and reading the information that's on them and accumulating their own piles of correctly identified cards. If they draw a card that has the word Bang in all caps on it, then they take all their cards and all of those go back into the middle pile that everyone's drawing from. And so then play continues until you reach a desired number of cards for one person. So now to talk about how to create the information that's on those cards. There are a few things that you want to take into consideration when making them. The first thing is you want to make sure that your students or children have a reference point for the information that's on the card. And that reference point is what we call lead-in lines. Lead-in lines are simply dots 2 and 5 done before and after the content that's on the card. If you think about it, dots 2 and 5 are the middle of a Braille cell. So this just helps your child or student have a reference point to help them when they're reading the information. If it's just, one letter or something on a card, there's not much context for them to go off of to help them orient to that. Another thing you'll want to take into consideration is orientation. How is your child or student going to know that the card is oriented the correct way? And so to do that, you can simply cut off a corner of a card. So for example, here I've got an index card here's my lead-in lines, and then you notice I did a space followed by, for this example, the letter S, and then another space, and then a few more lead-in lines. Now it just so happens that I'm holding this card the correct way right now, but if you flip it this way, well, you still could read this line this way, except now instead of an S, it looks like an AR sign. So like I said, to help with orientation, you're just simply going to clip off a corner of your index card. Doesn't matter what corner you choose. I chose my right-hand corner. And so this way, they know to put the cutoff part on the right and to read in that direction. Now, I will say, just because I had time, I got a little fancy with some sample cards that I made for my bang, but you don't necessarily have to go this creative with them. So for instance, here is a cutout stegosaurus with the mouth oriented to the right, and the tail is on the left. So this is how I would use to orient these cards if I was using this with some students. So this card, as you can see,
Can you hold it up a little bit higher, please?
a letter on it.
There you go.
Hopefully the glare is not too bad from the label on that. And so if you had a kid or a student who was working on their alphabet, you could do a set of alphabet bang cards. Or you could also do a set for numbers. Or if there were any particular contractions that your children or students were struggling with, you could do some simple contraction cards. So for this one, I have the ER contraction. Some students may get their ERs and Qs mixed up, along with a variety of other possibilities to easily confuse. Or you could do sight words. This example is the word said in Braille. And then here is our bang example. So as you can hopefully tell, I've got the word shown in all caps by doing 2 .6s before the word to indicate that the entire word is in all capital letters. Another beneficial part to using lead in and lead out lines is that it encourages your child or student to read all the way through the entire card. And it's not as much of a giveaway when they see 2 capital signs that, oh, they've gotten a bang card. So as you can see, this game is super easy and doesn't take a ton of time to play, just a little bit of prep time. But then once you've got the cards made, then you can easily pull it out to play with again and again. Parents, this could be a good way to help freshen up on your own Braille skills, or if you have other sighted siblings in the family, you could put some print at the bottom, and so then your blind kids and sighted kids can play a game together. Any questions about bang before I move on to another short thing to help keep Braille fun and engaging?
Can you repeat what happens when you get a bang card in the game?
Oh yeah, sure. So if you draw the card that says bang, then that person is going to take all of their cards that they've been accumulating, that they've read correctly, and all of that is going to go back into the main pile at the bottom. So then they've lost all the cards that they collected. So say you've determined that the winner for your game was first person who got to 10. Well, say they had so far accumulated 6 cards and they just drew a bang, then all those 6 cards are going to go back in the middle and they're having to start all over again to try to get to 10. Any other questions?
Just one thing to add, Kaylee. I think there are so many ways that you can also play bang. I've seen families do it where actually Melissa Riccobono came up with sort of a variation where you have your contractions and you also have the word written out in grade 1. So maybe you've got the OF sign, and then on another card you have the letters OF, and if you get both of those cards, then you can, if you get a bang, you get to keep those and it's a point. So you can be super creative with bang, but keeping those same sort of principles, and it kind of keeps everything engaging. So that's one of the reasons that I was excited that you wanted to do this lesson.
Crystal? Hey, I also wanted to say that often when I go into schools, I use this a lot with my early readers, and we use it for all kinds of things, from alphabet to specific cards based on word contractions and what have you, and signs. But you can play it with just one student. The adaptation we do is we set a timer, and the student tries to beat how many cards they get in that time, each time, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. So in that instance, Crystal, do you just take out the bangs then? So then you're not.
No, like depending on the student, we would set, like, let's say a 2-minute timer, and they have their card thing. If they're playing by themselves and they're going through the cards as fast as they can, if they hit a bang, they lose their cards and they keep going from the same pile, but it's, how many they have at the end of that time period. I've also played with my students before too, to where I'm the other person, but just saying that it's not, if you don't have 2 people reading Braille right then and there, it's not that it can't be played. It's very versatile, and they really do get super excited about it.
Great. See, I mean, there's always lots of different ways to learn, and I've even learned about some different ways to play bang that I never thought of before. So great. Thanks for sharing, guys. One other thing that I wanted to share with you that you could easily create with materials that you may have around your house is a Braille Monster, or a Braille Diva in my case. I've just taken a cracker box and I've cut out some purple cardstock and I've embossed it with a hexagonal patterned texture. And I've added some red lips around the hole for the mouth. My eyes are 2 different colored buttons with googly eyes glued to the center of them. She also has a multicolored 2 type of ribbon hair bow and a necklace at the bottom of her made out of shiny, differently shaped rhinestones. So with these, you can also use like those tiny trash cans that have the little flippable lid to make these as well. You could use things like pipe cleaners to make crazy hair. You can use a variety of craft supplies that you might have just lying around your house to make these super fun and tactile. So what you'll do with these is you can practice feeding the Braille to the Diva or the Monster. Sometimes when I've taught this lesson in the past, I've explained to my students that this Monster or Diva is very picky, and so they only like to eat things that have Braille on them. And so then we'll work on maybe letters or whatever that particular student is needing to work on, and they'll practice reading them, and if they read it correctly, then they get to feed it to the Braille Monster. So I cut this whole to fit a 3x5. And so if they were able to identify that this was the letter S, or if we were working on some contractions, if they said that this was the word so, then they would feed it into the monster. And then I've made the top so that it's able to open. And then you can easily just get the cards out from the top rather than having to try to extract them some other way.
I want to remind everybody that this will be archived up on YouTube. So if you have questions or want to refer back to how Kaylee did something or something like that, you can always find it. It should be up by tomorrow afternoon. You can find our YouTube channel by looking for, searching for us on YouTube as Nations Blind. It's also going to be, the link will also be up on our distance education webpage. The National Federation of the Blind is putting out distance education resources every day, so that blind kids and their families and teachers of blind students have the opportunity to keep practicing their skills every day. And you can find that page by going to nfb.org/resources/distance-education-resources. Or if you can't remember all of that, you can go to nfb.org/COVID-19, and the distance education resources are linked off of that. We would love to know what kind of lessons you would like to see us do. We do a live lesson like this every week on Zoom at Thursday at 11 o'clock. And we would love to know what you guys want us to do. So please reach out and email me at kanderson@nfb.org. And let me know what you're interested in. Or you can call me at 40659-9314, extension 2243. And Crystal, if you could put my email address and the websites up on chat, that would be super helpful, or Emily. Reach out, let us know what you're interested in. Next week's lesson is going to be on the slate and stylus, the many various slates that are out there, what they're used for, and then also some fun ways of teaching the slate and stylus to students, because even though it is one of the maybe less frequently taught tools in a blind student's toolbox, it can also be one of the most useful. Speaking as someone who took notes on her slate and stylus all the way through college because it worked for me, I can say that having that tool in your toolbox is incredibly valuable. And there are lots of fun ways that you can teach students how to use the slate and stylus. So I hope that you guys will come back and join us next week. Thank you, Kaylee, for presenting today, and we will look forward to seeing you all back next week. Connect with us. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NFB_voice. And like us on Facebook by searching for National Federation of the Blind. Visit our website at nfb.org or call us at 410-659-9314.